There was information. There was an alleged hit put out right after King Von's death, and wiretaps, and it's still a lot of information to come out. But like you said, if they had enough, why didn't they pick him up before they traveled to California? And if they knew they were going to California to commit this crime, why didn't they also follow the family and stop this case or stop this murder from happening?
Real life. If that shit ain't real life,
it ain't real life. Just ain't real life street stars. You know what time it is. I want to speak to you on congratulations on having a class full of inspiring lawyers and sitting down with Woody. I know the full interview is now out. I watched it. Great interaction between both of you guys. I love the conversation of who he's voting for, and I love all that as far as just being able to speak to Woody. But I want to speak on, of course, the YSL case in general, and just get your thoughts on the fact that I believe we're on over, I think we just passed day 200 or something on this one.
We're not at 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like
right. It seems like it's season 5 or something. I don't know what's going on anymore. I was tuned in like day to day, but then even I got kind of exhausted from just the day to day. What they said, this is the longest criminal case trial proceeding in Atlanta or that county's history. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel like that's no preparation, or just they knew it was going to take this long because that's the kind of case this was, that to build up to something?
You know, when I was a prosecutor, one of the best defense attorneys that I came across taught me a valuable lesson. Same lesson that any of you guys play dominoes. No. Study long, study wrong. And I think what has happened is there have been so many mistakes made that they're trying a trial within a trial, right? And I have someone in this, I'm not gonna say their names, but I got somebody in this room who I'm gonna look for a nod, that it honestly looks like they're trying a case, they messed up, and then they're bringing another witness in and retrying it differently and doing better at it. And so it's like they're AI, like they're adapting as they go along. But, you know, you're going to lose the jury, because eventually they're going to pick up on, you ask someone, is red blue? And they told you it's purple. They were technically right, and you were confused, and you kept asking them, is red blue? And they kept telling you it was purple till the jury got upset. And then the next time they asked the question, they said, okay, are these colors either red? Is this couch either red or blue? Oh, it's blue. They got it right this time.
I see what you mean.
Right? And so they're doing that as they go along. But the whole time, they're like, yeah, you kind of got them, but do you really know what you're doing? And if you don't know what you're doing with this trial, how do I know you knew what you were doing when you arrested these men?
Right.
And does that create enough reasonable doubt for me to say, okay, you know what? Y'all screwed up so bad, everybody go home.
Yeah. Real quick, before I talk about mistrials, can attorneys sub another attorney in? Like, hey, someone not even on the case, can someone like day 89 just, I'm gonna just jump in, on the whether on defense, but more so speak on the prosecution side. Like, hey, I kind of messed that up, man. Let me jump in and let me take over. I see where you're going wrong with this witness.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I'm curious why no one just jumps in whenever things are kind of going left, or you feel like attorneys have pride enough to say, no, I got it. Got him where I want him.
Visually,
it looks crazy.
No. It doesn't necessarily look crazy, but I'm gonna get in trouble for this one.
Oh.
Who were the two people who mainly tried this case?
So far I've seen two black women. I forget their name. Yes, two black women,
yes. Right? Who are you gonna have and come in and replace the two most senior Black women in the office. If they're the highest ranking Black women in the office, who else is going to replace them? And what are the optics of that?
It'll start its own story.
Exactly. Exactly. You're going to have Tom and Antoine come in and replace these two women?
Oof.
Brother.
Ugh. Yeah.
No. You rolled the dice, man. You pretty much got what you got. And because the mistakes that have been made in some cases have been so egregious, it's just bad optics at this point. And so, I've stepped in hearings. Hell, I did this week.
Yeah, because I look at it more so like and again, women are some of the best lawyers. But one of the
very much so. I like them far more than I like men.
Yeah,
on the record, and I say it all the time.
On the record, during the length of this case, one of them could have got pregnant at the beginning of the case and have to take a maternity leave while the case is going on. Like, how does that work? Like, if this case is so long, I didn't have a baby.
So
trying this case,
so as someone who does employment law, I'm going to say anyone who has been removed for a case because they had a child or are pregnant, please call my office. Please, if you've been discriminated against because you have the ability to carry life, call me and get your check.
Wait, can they halt the trial though? Can they say we're going to recess for 3 months?
So seriously, man, that's really not a problem. That's really not a problem.
Okay.
Because as lawyers, number one, it shouldn't have gone this long, but I get your point. It's gone on so long that someone who may have been only 6 months pregnant is now at the point where they're about to give birth.
All right.
And so, so y'all take it easy on them.
I'm just throwing to see what sticks.
It wasn't that bad of a question. But typically, even if you were a man, right? Let's say I'm older.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say I'm trying a case and I have a health condition come in.
Right.
Just like a play, you have an understudy. Yeah. So there's another lawyer in the room when they go back to the war room and they discuss the case and they're working on the case. There are probably 2 or 3 lawyers who are working with them who understand the direction in which they're going that could step in if something happens.
Right. Yeah, and that's like the unforeseen, because anything could happen. A pregnancy, of course, could be foreseen.
That could happen to a man or a woman. And so if you have been discriminated because you can carry life, call 866-LT for me.
Let's go. What's the longest case you've heard of?
Man, you had cases that last a couple of months, but this one is ridiculous. Golly, hold on. It was one that I'm trying to think. Was there one that went on almost a year?
I'm sure.
But usually, yeah, but never a murder case.
Yeah.
Never a murder case. That's why
civil cases, they could be, boom, boom, bam, or even class action lawsuits could take
3 to 4 months. Because you got to fly people in, you got to potentially fly people in, corporate representatives, CEOs, vice presidents, former employees. There are plenty of people that you can bring in or have to bring in when you do that type of litigation, especially civil litigation. And so those cases can take a while. You got to bring in experts. Everybody has 5 to 10 experts. You got an expert to talk about, how the thing was made. You have an expert to talk about how it affected or how it injured individuals. You have someone come in and talk about the chemical makeup of the products. Was it done right? Was it up to standard? Did it meet the codes? Did it follow all the protocols that the government has in place? Was it governmentally approved? And so you have all those things to take place to make those civil trials last a little bit longer. But for murder trials, nah, man. Nah, all you really need is he shot him. We got evidence. Did he shoot him? Did he tell you he shot him? Yes. Did you see he shot him? Yes. Okay, go sit down. But back to the guy, study wrong, study long, man. Study long, study wrong.
Let me ask you, how many witnesses, like, do you feel is excessive in the case? Just throwing off the top of the head, like, hey, we have X amount of witnesses going to come and speak on this. To you, what's excessive?
That's hard to say. It really is hard to say. It's hard. I mean,
is 50 normal?
Man, you can have that many lined up. You can have that many lined up. Let's think about the apartment complex that fell down let's think about that or the shooting that took place in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
There were thousands of people downstairs.
Correct.
And so you might have 20 of those. You might have 10 law enforcement officers, right? You might have 5 people who were EMS who took care of the injured. And so you might have 10 hotel staff members talk about what took place. And so it could very well last. You could very well have many or very few witnesses.
Yeah. And for the history, it says the longest criminal trial was 919 days back in 1987 to 1990. So that's a long time.
What was that?
That was for a preschool assault. It was essay that was going on at a daycare, McMartin preschool trial. I don't know how that. Yeah, I might have to. That might be his own documentary. With that being said, again, congratulations to you and Woody. Where can they find that interview that you and Woody did? I want you to make sure I want them to go watch this thing because that was amazing. Where was that at? So
they can start off by going to Instagram at Larry Tailor II. They can find us on YouTube at Tailor Made Conversations. But more importantly, go to tailormadelaw.com and you'll see all our social media handles. And we're creating a platform that will provide both you and young lawyers with resources to assist you if you have a case or if you want to improve your practice or grow your practice. We're providing resources because the thing is, one of the things that really bothered me when I started my legal career is I did not have anyone who really helped me. I didn't. People look at me and they say, I didn't walk into nothing. Everything, every case, every dollar, everything that has been built with these 2 hands and this mind. And so I want to make sure I provide people with an opportunity to assist them in that regard. And then at the same time, I want to make sure that people in communities like ours or anyone can find lawyers that can address their situation that are real lawyers, right? Several years ago, there was a situation where people were hiring this guy. He wasn't even a lawyer. And like I said before, here in Dallas, he was practicing in JP courts and he wasn't a lawyer. But like I said before, all
better
lawyers...
call Saul or...
Better call Larry. Call LT. 866 LT for me. But tailormadelaw.com. But you want to make sure that the lawyers that you choose have your best interests and will fight. And that's one of the things that I think I have the opportunity to really get a sense of because I travel the country and meet with hundreds of lawyers a year, right? And I really get to dig down into their practices and talk to them about their cases and what they do and observe them. And so when I refer a case to an attorney, I know that they're worth their chops. I don't do family law, right? You asked me about that. I referred a person to a family lawyer. He called me up, said, man, you ain't never got to worry about your air condition ever again in life. This person did what they needed to do. I got my kid and so forth and so on. So I want to make sure that I introduce people into other real life lawyers.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take that part and probably snap on the end because I was just really asking to see where can we find a video of, but
tailormadelaw.com. You go there, you find all the social media, you'll find a link to the video there, and it'll take you to Tailor Made Conversations.
And on that video, you had asked Woody, what do you like about an attorney? What gravitates you towards a certain attorney or lawyer? And he said one word. He just said choice. Did you pick up on that right when he said that, as far as what he meant by saying choice?
Trust.
I'm sorry. I said choice. Gee, I heard it all wrong. Trust. Yes. He had made mention that he tries to play dumb just to see what a person may do, feed them wrong information just to see what they do with it. And he gave an example of it. But what were your thoughts on that, as far as just for him and being in his situation with this case? I mean, this case is still active, where he's like, I just want to be able to trust my lawyer.
That's what I like to do, man.
Yeah.
You know, he is who he is. And his change on life is refreshing. He is, when I look at him, man, I look at our community. We don't necessarily always start off the greatest. We don't always make the right decisions. But so many of us feel that we can't come out of those things. If I danced when I was 18 till I was 25, can I be a mother at 26 and 27? You know, can I be the PTA president? The answer is yes. If I sold dope, if I went to jail, if I did all these things that society says that people who look like me in communities like mine do, if I did those things, can I be something more?
All right.
When I told him, don't let your moment stop your movement, I wasn't just talking to him. I was saying the words that I said to myself.
That's real.
What I did today, man, or what I did yesterday does not necessarily define my tomorrow.
Hey, these is facts.
And I want to see so much more. You know, and not to get nostalgic, but hell, man, Wakanda was not just a movie for me.
Yeah.
Wakanda was Atlanta at its best.
Correct. A vision.
Harlem at its best. Houston at its best. What Oklahoma City could be. What Tulsa could be. Mm-hmm. What Mississippi could be. Mm-hmm. Those are the reasons why I am so drawn to this young man, because what he's been able to do and his determination not to be what he was and not let anybody drag him back, man, kudos to that brother.
There you go. No, without question. Powerful words, because yes, a lot of people do struggle with escaping their past and, you know, having their past define them. And like you said, your past, don't let it define your tomorrow. Let me ask you though, because, you know, he did create, and it's funny, I've been watching some other trials prior to this YSL case where I don't recall has been used. But he used it so masterfully that I thought that was a tactic for anyone who's facing fire or has to go technically, quote unquote, testify against their, you know, someone that they still have some relevance towards. The next person came up, and I forget his name, Boom Tunk or Unk Boom, or I forget his name, and I apologize for that. But he attempted to try to use the same thing, the I don't recall method, and they sent him back to prison for not cooperating, as he wrote that he would, to talk about these certain points about this case and to utilize I don't recall. I'm trying to see why that wasn't a good strategy, because, you know, if you don't recall, you don't recall. You know, if I said something 3 years ago when y'all first asked me about these things and it took 3 years to get this case started, if I have short-term memory lapse, I mean, bring in a doctor. But I don't recall right now at this moment. You know, you got to bring in somebody to study me, I guess.
I wish I could refer him to someone who I know down there, but they already have one of the co-defendants. But my take on that is, in the difference, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, man, because I don't know for 100%. But I think Woody's situation was he had already been to federal prison for the gun.
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
So his recall was not necessarily predicated on a plea deal that he did or had with the state.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Mr. Tonk had made previous statements and signed off on those statements that he said he didn't recall with those, and they would basically, if they introduced it and said, "Is this your signature?" Yes. Did you put your signature here? Read through this. Is this the statement that you signed 10 years ago and agreed that everything in your statement was true? If he said, "I don't recall," now you have a perjury situation, and you have a situation in which a judge could take that into account and use it against them. And so Georgia has different laws than we have, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100%. I've read through them, and their plea deals as far as testifying, but there's some nuances that could have tripped him up based on the type of agreement that he had.
Mm. Yeah, no, seeing the judge make the statement in which she stated, that you would not make a mockery of this court. Basically, as he was, I don't want to say he was attempting to do, but the judge saw this as, we will not play when you take that oath. We don't play with that. How? And this is for someone who's never been to court, never put their hand on that Bible to have to testify. How important? Because the judge made me remember how important that oath is when you don't play with that right hand on the Bible. So she enforced the rule, sent him straight to jail before he could even go home and say bye to his kids or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How important is that oath? And who takes that oath important? Is it just the judge? Is it who is responsible for that oath and if it's broken?
I'm going to ask for a head nod once again to confirm. But man, it's so selective what judges do in holding somebody responsible. Mm-hmm. I've tried cases with my partner in crime, and we knew witnesses were up there lying. And we had evidence to the contrary of what they said to show that they were lying and perjured themselves. And judges just basically, it's like, you won, it didn't matter. They could tell they was lying. No. They need to go into to go to jail. I was going to say Hooskow. I wanted to be funny and use Hooskow, but I couldn't find it. But now I found it. They should have been sent to the Hooskow for lying, and they weren't. And so it just depends, man, on how they choose to do it. And I'm not even sure if the judge didn't do it because now she's kind of feeling sorry for the state.
Yeah, I'm curious because, you don't want to make a mockery because the judge technically works for the state, works with the state. I don't know. I would assume from the aspect the judge is employed, of course, by the courts, but is with the state. That's just my assumption. I don't know. But to see this thing go to get made a mockery of the state, no matter which lawyer's up there, which attorney's up there, to see the mockery just kind of play out of where maybe the attorney's having a bad day. Like, damn, let me throw him something to just show that we don't want this going on. Because I think she set a precedence because, again, with what Woody did, I felt going forward, I don't recall is the new, man, this the get out of jail free card. Or this is the, hey, I'm going to show up, put my hand on it and just, I don't recall everything and go and take me home. And good luck on your case. But she showed that that's not the case.
It just depends on the situation and how they were doing it. If he, like I said before, if he's saying he doesn't recall, that's his signature on his statement. If he's saying he doesn't recall, that's a problem. That's when you start really getting into issues of, okay, are you gaming the system, sir?
Yeah.
Because that's your signature.
Yeah.
And this is the statement that you signed. Now, do you remember every detail in it? I don't need you to. I just need you to remember that you signed this document. And then from there, I can introduce this document and let the jury read what you had to say.
Yeah, I seen some I don't recalls getting thrown out before the question was even asked or finished being asked. And I'm like, to even prep yourself to say, I hear what you're about to go into, knowing like they probably might know the answer and to just have that on their tongue. Like, I don't recall. Like, I didn't even finish asking the question. Okay, well, go ahead and finish. Okay, I don't recall again. I'm like, it almost looked game-ish. Like,
well, in the situation, man, you had some of these guys, like I said, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? It's been 10 years. So, Joker, I come to you and say, to 10 years ago, did you see Miss Johnson working at the McDonald's window off of Lemon Avenue? You like, I don't recall. Well, you told the police 10 years ago that was the woman who was at the McDonald's window. So is that the woman at the McDonald's window? I honestly, at this point, don't recall.
So then you question, again, it should be like a good lawyer should have maybe 2 or 3 questions follow up to get a valid answer. Like, was it a woman there? I don't recall. Was it human being staying at the window? Can I get a yes out of you?
No, that's not what you want to do.
Because I see so many I don't recall to where you don't even get a yes or no anymore.
What you want is to get in evidence that will tell your story for you.
All right. Can that look bad if somebody that you called a witness that just doesn't know anything?
That's why I said earlier, we went through this before. You don't let it get that far. You don't let it get that far. Once it gets to be a game, right? You have some judges who will jump right in and say, you say, I don't recall one more time, I'm going to throw you in the back and hope that you remember. Matter of fact, I think you sent me a video of a case in which a judge, it was a civil case.
Yeah.
Was it Beezy's?
Yes, it was. I sent you the Beezy's, yes.
And the judge at that point got aggravated with the witness or the attorney with the line of questioning.
Correct.
And interceded. And so you have to, as an attorney, you have to be really careful. Look, man, you got to know your audience.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're dealing with. You can't come in on a grass field and it's been raining for the last 10 days and say, I'm finna run or throw the ball, right? At this point, it's a mud pit. You got to figure out how you're going to maneuver within that. You have to know your environment. You have to know who you're dealing with. Who's your judge? Is this a no-nonsense judge? If it is, okay, I'm finna set you up. I'm going to ask a few questions that are very simple. Yes, no. And as soon as you get to the point where the judge sees that you're playing, I'm going to let the judge take care of you. I'm going to let the judge take care of you. If I got a judge who allows leeway, then I'm going to ask, I'm finna throw a couple of curveballs, right? I'm finna throw a couple of balls that are just outside, maybe just outside the line, but depending on your answer, you can bring it back in for me, right? And so, you know, it just depends on your environment. A good lawyer studies the environment that they're in. One of the things that I do is I'll go sit in, well, I can't tell all my secrets, but anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah, let me just ask you lastly before we get out of here, if it was a mistrial for the YSL case, what could cause, what type of things could cause a mistrial? We've seen a lot of requests for mistrial.
You got 290 days worth of mistrial.
Yeah, like, do you feel like one of them is going to work? Like one of these mistrials is going to work?
I don't think the judge is going to throw this out. I think it's you're at 8 months and 28 days since you used pregnancy earlier.
Yeah.
That's a baby.
Come on.
That's a baby. And so we're going to go ahead and wait these next 2 days and just have this baby. We're going to have this baby. Now, once the baby here, which is the verdict, if either side doesn't like it, you could take it to the Court of Appeals.
Yeah.
And you can argue it there. And if they think I'm wrong, cool. I'm cool with that. Because chances are I ain't going to have to see this case again. And so if it gets kicked back, another judge is going to have to do it. If they affirm the not guilty on the case, then it's done. And so I doubt if it goes all the way up to the only if it's a guilty do I see it potentially going to whatever Supreme Court, the Georgia Supreme Court. If it's not a guilty, I see, and if it's appealed, I only see it going to the Court of Appeals.
If the judge wanted to wrap this thing up in the next 30 days, not saying just without,
she can do it.
I say, can she do it without doing it? Just like, hey, let's go to the chambers. Listen, get what, like, how can she do it? Like, I know she can't just say, you got until, Thanksgiving, get this thing done.
Yes, but they can.
Oh, they can? Oh, wow.
Yes, they can. Judge can come back and say, hey, look, we got an 8-hour day. You got 4 hours of direct. You got 4 hours of cross.
Oh.
And I'll give each side 30 minutes to redirect or whatever. And after that, you done with that witness. We're going to keep this moving. You just don't have the leeway to just keep going on as long as you want. Just like, I don't like it because I love voir dire or voir dire, depending on what part of the country you're from. You have some judges who will tell you, you got 30 minutes. Then do we have 30 minutes in the federal court? Or was it longer? Don't remember. All right. And so I think it was like 30 minutes. I was like, Judge, just get through my good story.
It's hard to argue. Yeah, I'm just...
In 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
I got 80 people in here, right? So how am I going to get through in 30 minutes? Well, you got 30. And then he took like 8 minutes for me and started asking questions on my behalf because he saw where I was going.
Oh, man. So thank you for the information because these are things I didn't know that it can actually put a time limit on it. Which, last I have to ask, for this trial, based on what you know, I know you don't follow it day to day, but based on what you know, if you were a juror, which way would you lean based on just the length and just the way the trial has been taking place? Are you leaning more towards guilty? That's just guilty, or are you leaning more towards not guilty? And I'm not going off of the actual details, but more so just the length, the things going on in court, the characters involved.
It's a couple of things that affect the jury, right? I don't want to give away too many of my trade secrets, but juries love the person who is the shortest speaker and most succinct and direct. If you start asking questions multiple times, jury's like, okay, I'm not the lawyer, but he's answered that already, didn't he? And then the third time, they're like, okay, he answered that. I know that. I thought he may have answered it the second time you asked, but now that you ask a third time. And so now they start looking at their watches and they're like, man, I've been here all day. We were supposed to get out of here at 5 and they got to say something. And so now we're going to be here later because you can't get your stuff together. Now, when you get up there, they can't hear nothing that you're talking about because they pissed at you.
Oh, man. Now you're saying something.
They pissed at you. You piss a jury off, you lose the jury.
You're saying the jury could have technically a vendetta against one of the attorneys to say, man, based on, you just wasted my time. I'm going to go against whatever you want. I'm leaning against it because you seem like you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. Exactly. So you've taken away the credibility of your witnesses.
So it really is a dance. It really is chess.
And people could say it's chess.
Well, more chess.
But it's really giving the people the information that they need to make an informed decision. I could talk about the polymers in this couch. I could talk about, this is not the one with the brass in it, but I could talk about the metals, the wood, where they're from. Are they from America? Are they not? Or I can tell you, I'll sell you the couch. It's valued at $900. I'll give it to you for $200. Sit in it. It's soft, it's plush, and has a 5-year warranty. That hits home more than, oh yes, this is polymers that were created by NASA, and it has 5,000 microbubes and all this language and all this stuff, and the brass on it was mined.
I don't want to buy it.
I'm like, you're like, oh man, you missed me with that.
Quick and concise.
Exactly.
Could work in a lawyer's favor to either win or lose a case.
It just depends on how much needs to be explained and how much you need that witness to explain to a jury. If you're talking about the flight of a bullet and going through doors and wood and metal and how that works and how it flattens out, a jury needs to hear that. If you're talking about a bullet that ricocheted and hits someone, they need to understand that it's not magic, that there's science in the trajectory and how you got to your conclusion. They need to hear that. But some of this other stuff, they don't need to hear. And some lawyers can't get out their own way.
Well, with that being said, there, and we'll talk about this on a different time because I want to see what happens with this case, which was the Menendez trial. In the Menendez case, I'm gonna probably bring you in on a different day, and I want the fans to expect that to kind of break down just that entire case if they do get out, because there was another element to that case which they threw out in the first trial and didn't allow it in the second trial, which was the sexual abuse that was going on with the boys to possibly have them go into murder. But again, we'll talk about that at a different time. But with that being said, no, you gave your credentials early on, so I do thank you for this moment. And again, I'm gonna still put that in the end just in case they missed it. I do want you to go back to give your shout outs, man. Again, for those that did help you get to this point, again, I don't know if you have got notice outside of these cameras as of yet, but you coming on really helping our platform with the education of law. You're like our own personal law library. So I definitely, again, commend you and appreciate you. Is there any shout outs that you want to give to those that kind of assist you on your journey to this point?
You know what? To the woman who made me blush at the airport, who said, "Are you the lawyer from the blue couch?" I didn't know how to respond.
That's the beginning. That's how it starts.
I didn't know how to respond. I called my wife and was like, I didn't know what to say. Should I have said, I spoke to her.
Yeah, right? Like what's the protocol?
Right, what's the protocol? Do we take a picture? I mean, I don't know, but I told you that I kind of stepped away and didn't want to be part of this because I've done, I think it was NBC Dateline. Yeah. I've been a legal commentator during the Cosby release and several other things, and I stopped doing it because I didn't necessarily want to be in front of the camera. And so my wife gave me the courage and the support in order to come out here and actually do this. And so because of this, I've been able to really help some of your listeners. Now, look, I can't help everybody, man. Look, your dog, collar got caught under the fence at the park. Look, I'm not that lawyer, but if you go to Tailor Made Law, we might be able to find you someone, but I can't help everyone, right? And even though you feel strongly about it, the one thing you're going to get from me is not brutal honesty, but you're going to get an honest, because my man YSL Woody told me, trust. And so I am going to tell you sometimes what you don't want to hear. You don't have a case. You don't. The law is not in your favor. The law does not allow you to bring a case. You can file a lawsuit, you can spend the money, but it's going to be thrown out so quickly. And you're just going to be even more upset because you spent money in order to do that.
Oh.
And so, man, thank everyone who commented. Thank everyone for some of you guys who cracked the jokes. And we still communicate back and forth on the comments or on my page. And thank you for everyone who is following Larry Taylor II or the Real Life Lawyer or Tailor Made Law, Tailor Made Conversations. I really appreciate that. And for me, it's more so about what I can do for you more so than for me. Because I got a great family, right? I got a great family.
There you go.
I have a great life. And I could literally live my life for the rest of my life for me and be happy.
Yeah.
But what good is that? And how do I advocate for a community when I'm not willing to put myself out there to help my community?
That's real. Man, I appreciate that. And just a little tidbit, if somebody does come recognize you, for us, ask them what was their favorite take of yours when it comes to the Blue Couch. Like, if they watched it and they ask them what was one of their takeaways from it. And if they don't have an answer, just ask them what was one of their favorite interviews. We'll stay in communication. I'm just curious.
You know what they love? Well, they love Jaguar.
Most of them just
they love Jaguar. They like messing with you about your questions.
Oh yeah, man. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, they love messing with you about that. But I will definitely do that. And for those of you who are watching right now, please make a snippet of this. Joker is actually going to be in front of the camera with me as I interview him on Tailor Made Conversations. Just two brothers sitting down, having a conversation and just having a real conversation.
Yeah.
And so, on our platform, we want to have real conversations with everyday people, up and coming superstars, moms who are just, they're just moms, dads. We want to have conversations with real people, politicians, elected officials, actors, actresses, and just people that I think their story can touch someone in the community and it'll be good for them to hear.
Man, that's real. With that being said, once again, I appreciate you for just offering your time up and again, your knowledge. Again, wisdom is power. I hope people take heed, but we got him back on the couch, so you already know what time it is, man. Larry Taylor, Tailor Made Law, the Real Life Lawyer, back on the Blue Couch. We have to say it. You are a real life street star. Salute.
Thank you.
Shout out Reallyfe street stars, nigga. Moolah. Hey.